Good afternoon, good morning, everyone. We're really excited that you've joined us today with one of our senior leaders here at Georgetown McDonough, and I'm proud to call a friend as well. Today, I want to chat a little bit about everything the Career Center has to offer, resources, and also thoughts on what's happening in the economy. I'm joined by Associate Dean of the McDonough Career Center, Christy Murray. Thanks so much for joining us today, Christy.
Absolutely, Shelly. Honored to be here with you and talk about all things I'm passionate and excited about, which are career development and especially thinking about MBA career pathways.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, let's get into a real fireside chat here. Christy, maybe can you just introduce yourself a little bit? Tell us a little bit about your background and, kind of what brought you to McDonough.
Absolutely. So I have worked in higher education for over 15 years. Prior to that, I had a corporate career and it was landing in a few different areas of real estate. And I got to the point where I needed to decide, do I want to continue that or do I want to pivot? And I know this is probably a question top of mind for a lot of students looking to enter graduate school is, do I do a career pivot as a part of this? And that was exactly the question I had. And so I pivoted from a corporate real estate career into a higher education career. So excited to have the opportunity to work with students at Hopkins for many years. I was there for almost 15, where I launched my higher education career, and I had the opportunity to work with undergraduate, master's, and PhD students. And then I moved to the business school where I was for 10 years and then had the opportunity to join the McDonough Career Center almost 2 years ago. And there was an opening for a leader on the Career Center team and a really unique time with the school when there were new programs and modalities launching, such as the flexible online program. And I was excited to join a school that was continuing to innovate, to grow, and to really think globally and had a chance just in March to travel to Dubai on a global business experience with our full-time MBA students. And so got a taste of what global looks like at McDonough and have been thrilled to step into this role and lead a team who is passionate about working with students, student success. We work closely with employers as well as alumni, and ultimately our goals are helping to develop students and to create opportunity to make sure that they're able to achieve whatever goals and successes they define for themselves as they come through and graduate from McDonough.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad that you joined today because, one of the big reasons why people choose to go back to business school and specifically pursue an MBA is because of what it can do for their career, allowing them to achieve their professional short-term and long-term goals after the MBA. Certainly, academics are important. All the co-curricular opportunities are important. Certainly, our global business experience, but the career aspect is critical and key. Thanks for sharing a little bit more information over the next 20 or 30 minutes so about what makes your career center unique. So let's start there. What do you think makes McDonough's Career Center unique for MBA students?
Absolutely. So I think there are two main things that I think about with the statement. And having been in the space for quite a bit of time, I've seen that every school does this a little bit different. And I think what makes McDonough's Career Center unique and how we work with MBA students are two main things. One, we have career coaches, which we also call industry practice leaders, who we hire to come in to support one of 14 industries that we understand that MBA students at McDonough are interested in. And the professionals that are hired with that industry experience. And so they have worked in the industry, they've been around the industry, and so they know it firsthand. They also are working with employers. So they're in a hybrid role where they're coaching students, advising students on careers in various industries, the 14 that we've anchored around, as well as working with companies who are recruiting MBA students into those industries. And I love that model because it allows students to get firsthand information about what companies are looking for and to have a trusted resource within the Career Center. We also have a peer advisor program, which is an extension of our full-time professional staff. They're trained second-year MBA students who coach with our first-year MBA students and our flexible MBA students, should they choose. And ultimately, they have industry experience prior to coming into the MBA program, and they've come through a summer internship and have been really close to the recruiting cycle. And so the peer advisors are a critical and important part of the center and the program as well. I think the final thing, or the second thing I want to really point out that is different and a differentiator with how we work with students here are, prior to coming into the MBA program as a student, we offer a robust career programming plan outlined for anyone coming into the MBA to really help set them up for success. And so that is virtual and launched via a platform that students can work on before they are on the campus in the fall, starting their program to help set them up for success. We launched that for the full-time MBAs in particular over the summer coming in, just because we know they have to hit the ground with their feet running. And for our flexible students, we give students a little bit of time before we launch that programming, because often flexible students are not looking for an internship immediately like our full-time students.
Awesome. Yeah, I think 2 points that you mentioned. The peer advisors are fantastic because they've just gone through it, right? They're coming off the
Yeah.
heels of their internship. They know what it's like. They know what the positions are going to be like. They know what their interview experience is like. So I love that we involve our entire community into the Career Center. And then, yeah, the summer prep. There's I think our students really get advanced leg up in preparation for what ends up being a very busy fall, right? And so
Yeah.
we start our students early so that they can feel prepared, feel relaxed, and not feel like they're drinking from multiple fire hoses when they start. So, and we'll dig into some of those more, I think, in our chat today. So you talked a little bit about our fantastic staff and the industry practice leads, et cetera. But can you talk a little bit about, how your team is structured? Can you talk about, the individualized attention and approach that someone may not get if they're going to a program that's 800-900 people?
Definitely. So we have 6 full-time team members who are full-time available to work with MBA students, and those are the MBA coaches. So we have that vertical. We have another vertical in our center that is the career, curricular, and communications team. And those are the folks that are working with students as they were coming in and through on how to craft the Tell Me About Yourself, which we abbreviate to TMAY. And we want students to really get that down as they're coming in so that they can network and start that process, which starts really early on, really being able to articulate their goals and what that looks like. We also have an operations team that works closely with our employers that are coming on campus and our alumni events to make sure that the employers and alumni are 100% satisfied with how we've operationalized the experience on campus for them, or virtually, as the case may be with some companies who choose to engage through remote channels as well. So I think that we have about 50 to 100 students that are engaging with our career coaches, depending on the industries, and that ebbs and flows throughout the year. We understand that our flexible MBA students aren't always actively looking for a career coach day one, whereas our full-time MBA students are ready to go with internship searching. So we use that number as a guide for how we staff for the full-time staff.
And if I remember correctly from their employment report, there's over 5,000 appointments throughout the year that your students, that your career center is intaking. I guess meeting with over 5,000 appointments a year. Is that roughly correct?
We meet with hundreds of thousands of, we have hundreds of thousands of appointments, I would say, across not only the career coaches, but with the peer advisors and We also run a really robust mentoring program, and so the appointments don't even count the interactions that students are having with their mentors
Mhm.
outside of the Career Center as well. So lots of opportunities to connect for sure. And these individuals that are working in the Career Center are skilled, trained to be able to work with college students. And
Mhm.
so every coach that goes through the hiring process here either has a background in working with college students, MBA students, or coaching in some way. And if they don't, we put them through a training program where they are skilled in that so that they are really looking at, okay, not just industry, but from a holistic personal dimension, what does that look like?
Awesome. Great. Um, well, I imagine it's been already a year since our 2023 graduates graduated, almost to the day or week. We're about to have our graduation this year, but the employment stats from the 2023 grads were really strong. And so, no doubt in due part to your team. And so, when you look back at those employment stats, and certainly when we send this out, we will link to those. What are you most proud of our graduates? What are some of the stats that stand out to you?
Sure. So I think that one thing so first of all, I have the employment report right here. I have it on my desk for easy reference because it does share a really tremendous story of the students and the opportunities they got. I think that the percentage employed at graduation and 3 months after, as well as the average base salary and bonus, are some of the highest in the history of the school. The job market was really strong, and the students put in great work. One of the things that I am the most proud of are the students who put in tremendous work with the partnership of the Career Center. And so I think that with anything, you put in what you get out. And so we see students who continue to use the resources that we have and take advantage of those, being the most successful with securing opportunities that ultimately align with their goals. I'm really the most proud of the students who navigated any failures and pop back from that and still came out successful in the end because they stood true to what their North Star was. And then they also worked closely with us in the Career Center.
Okay, sounds great. Um, let's pivot a little bit to flex students. So we are just kind of talking about full-time students. We know that flex students aren't always looking for a job. Sometimes they love where they're at. They're just maybe looking for a promotion in their current company, but sometimes they do leverage your career center. And what I think that's unique about McDonough's Career Center is we actually open up our career center to our flex students. There are definitely some business schools out there that don't allow their part-time students to have access to the full-time career center staff and or employer events, et cetera. So I love the fact that we do. Um, so what about the flex students? What are you most proud of from an employment stats perspective for our flex students?
Absolutely. So first of all, we just published the Focus on Flex. So
Yeah.
encourage anyone to take a read there. I think there's a couple of things that I'm impressed with how our center is organized for our flexible students, and having coming myself from a background of previously going through a graduate program while I was working full time, I know how busy students can be and how limited time are. So we offer customized career programming for those flex students, and we try to really fit it into, okay, we know you're working professionals, and so launching it at a time where we thought it made sense for that population. We offer one-on-one career coaching for any flexible MBA student who is wanting to engage. Perhaps they came into the program and the program itself is a career advancer for them, but perhaps they want to pivot at the end of the program and they are actively job seeking. And so if that's the case, we absolutely work with flexible students. The other part of this is, as a flexible student, you go through a program that is 3 years long, and at the beginning of the third year, flexible students can recruit for full-time jobs for starting the May after they graduate, along with the typical campus recruitment that happens for our second year full-time MBAs. And that is a unique component of how McDonough works with flexible MBA students. I think that all of these things being said, we have some flexible students who are looking for internships. Not many, but every once in a while, we do have students who are looking for an internship, and we can certainly support them as they're going through that process as well. So there are exceptions to everything. And at the end of the day, we are here to work with the flexible MBA students just as rigorously as we work with the full-time MBA students.
Awesome. Great. All right, so let's get into kind of nitty-gritty logistics. I'm a planner. I know we have a lot of incoming MBA students that are planners. They want to know what their experience is going to look like. So it's May. I can't believe it's May already, but let's talk about what starts happening in June. So, the program, our programs start late July with orientation, but what should students start preparing for in June and July with your office?
Absolutely. Well, summer is short here because all of our incoming students come in for orientation beginning end of July. And so what we like to do, going back to the career programming that we want to launch, especially to the incoming first year full-time MBA students, we have a career programming course that we ask them to complete. And that kicks off in May. And so ultimately, any enrolled and admitted student at Georgetown McDonough will be getting information from the Career Center in May. And it includes a couple of things. It is a toolkit of items for them to work on, including getting their resume together. We know they have resumes from when they applied to the program, but starting to think about putting it in the Georgetown format. How will they tell their story about why the MBA program at Georgetown, and getting this document together. We also ask them to really take stock of their accomplishments and start to put that together, so that will help them as they're crafting their networking pitches as they're coming into the program. And we then allow certain of these criteria to get them access to additional things that they can work on, including systems and one-on-one coaching. So each of our 6 industry practice leads and career coaches will then, once they've completed some of these assignments, they will schedule one-on-one meetings with the incoming students to be able to get to know them better, understand their goals, and support them as they're coming into the program. Because we know as soon as orientation and the classes start, students are full on in academic mode, but internships are right around the corner and recruitment for that starts early. So really trying to set them up with and for success. So they will be hearing from our Director of Career, Curricular, and Communications, Laura Venos. And Laura's tremendous and has lots of experience working with students. And so they will have that point person starting in May to look forward to getting more information from.
All right, sounds good. So we've gotten through kind of May, June, July. So students then come on campus, they do orientation, they start opening term. What is, how are you all working with them in orientation? And then, after Labor Day, what kind of starts happening on campus? Like, what does the fall look like?
Great point. The fall is chaotic and crazy in a good MBA way. During orientation, we also have a couple of events that we do with students to allow them more experiential practice with their networking, and to get to understand the system that we use for all things recruitment and job focused for internship and full-time recruitment. And so they will go through a couple of those events. Then at the end of August, right before they kick off their first semester as a student, we do a couple of career day open houses, which is a fun time. We'll have a lot of sessions to allow them to really dig into the various industries, all 14 that we support, the timelines, and we'll give them information about how to prepare and what's next. So ultimately, if we think in stages, they'll have the stage of prior to orientation that they're working with us, during orientation that they're working with us, and then at the launch of their first year program they will hear from us again. So we try to stagger it so it's not a ton of information all at once, even though it will probably feel like that. And then ultimately in September is when employers start coming to campus. And so employers will come for information sessions and coffee chats and networking events. And those will all be advertised through our recruitment system that they will gain access to over the summer and through orientation. And recruiting does start immediately when they get on campus, and that begins mostly with networking. Some industries are different, and so not every industry recruits as early as finance and consulting. And so students who are interested in some of the other industries that don't recruit early shouldn't panic, because it's very typical. And that's what we like to do at the end of August, is set students up for an understanding of what that timeline will look like in the year ahead. So as they're seeing other people doing a lot of work and activity because they might be recruiting for finance or consulting, not to get alarmed if somebody is interested in real estate or healthcare or even nonprofit and government jobs.
Yeah, I know there's sometimes some pressure, peer pressure almost, for seeing, okay, some of the industries start recruiting a little bit earlier, some recruit later. So some students are getting offers earlier, but it's just a normal part of the differences in industry recruiting. And your team is there to, share this with them, let them know, look, these are the structured months and times by which these industries are recruiting.
Absolutely.
So I think one of the things that we don't talk about a lot, but I think are fantastic, are our career treks, the Friday career days, and even the career conferences. So can you talk a little bit about the benefit of each of those?
Absolutely. So career days and career treks are led in partnership between the student organizations and the Career Center. And so they're largely in part a way for our second year MBAs to help support the first year MBAs and learning about those programs. And so the Career Center has already started working with the rising second year students to look at what does the plan for the fall look like. And we already have all of our career days for the fall, which typically happen on Fridays between September and November, right before the Thanksgiving holiday. And those days are a way for first year students to really understand what the landscape of a particular industry looks like even more in depth, because we invite alumni and employers in to participate in those career days. So basically mark your calendar for every Friday between September and November, because if you are interested in net impact, or you're interested in technology or venture capital, entrepreneurship, consulting, technology, finance, there is a career day for it. And it's a fun time for current second year students and the Career Center and alumni to really educate and share a little bit deeper about what these industries are. Career treks. What's that?
No, I was saying I think they're great, and people don't always know about them. So thanks for sharing a little bit more. But yes, career tracks are the kind of the next great thing.
Career tracks are a fantastic way, again, partnership between the student clubs and the Career Center, and students go into company offices in various geographies, whether it's DC, New York, California, or another location, and get a real sense of what does a day in the life of look like. And again, it's alumni and employers who are hosting us in their companies. And it is in the fall, in October, during a very specific time where there are no classes in between mods 1 and 2. And students have the opportunity, again, to network, see, and learn a little bit more about the industry and build the relationships that will then hopefully continue to grow as they're recruiting for internship and full-time jobs. What I also mentioned is the career conferences, and you brought this up, Shelly, and I think this is something that we are very proud to support, and we have increased our support over the last few years in allowing students to understand the diversity and affinity conferences that are offered through large organizations like the National Black MBA, Prospanica, Reaching Out MBA, Veterans MBA, and all of these groups are planning large conferences and career fairs for MBA students. They happen in various geographies, and they're at various dates throughout the fall. And we coordinate very closely the career calendar in the fall between the career days, the career treks, and the diversity affinity conferences to make sure that we have as little conflicts as possible between all of these activities. We also have a fund that students can apply for to support them financially to attend one of these conferences, because there is a fee to attend and also travel that is typically required. But they're fantastic ways for students to get in front of Fortune 50, Fortune 100, and Fortune 500 companies that may or may not also be on campus.
Awesome. Okay. So I want to switch gears a little bit. It's no doubt, we're in 2024. You only have to read the headlines to know that, it's been a kind of interesting soft economy this year. Not different than economies that we've seen in, 2020 and 2008 and 2001. So there's that saying, like, history repeats itself in many ways. And so, economy's always going up and always going down. Now, on the admission side, when the economy goes down or it's a little softer, it's great for my team, right? So I mean, we've seen double-digit application growth this year in the full-time program. People know that coming back to business school is a great way to increase their marketability and ROI, and to kind of ride out a recession. But it does leave some students wondering and wishing they had a crystal ball. What does it look like in 2 years when I graduate? And what I always have to tell students is you're entering the program in a little different market than you're exiting. But I know I spoke with you a few weeks or months ago about why we're seeing the layoffs right now, what's contributing to it. And you had some really insightful things to say. So, what are you seeing in the economy right now, as it relates to hiring and layoffs and different things?
Absolutely. Well, I think you touched on it when you mentioned a lot of students are using this opportunity to think, okay, there's an economic downturn. How do I invest in myself?
Mhm.
And so, as part of that question that they're asking, a lot of people are led to a MBA program as a result of that. How do I upskill? How do I deepen or broaden my business experience to make me more competitive as I think about how to navigate a very complex landscape in hiring? You're absolutely right. Hiring ebbs and flows, and every headline is the economy is strong. And on the other hand, we see technology and consulting companies in particular also in the headlines about layoffs and delayed start dates, et cetera. What I will say is anyone who is pursuing an MBA is investing in themselves. And we see employers who are highly valuing that skill, especially in the business world of thinking broadly and deeply, being able to take information and think critically about it and apply it to complex business problems, regardless of industry or functional area. So I think that investment in oneself is a great thing, that it's timeless. And a lot of times in talking with alumni, they will reflect on certain elements of courses that they took here at McDonough or people that they met that became part of their network that has helped them in that down economy, because they've been able to reach back to the people that they built as part of the community here in those down economies to be able to help them. Last week was our executive challenge, which is not something that the Career Center leads, but the program leads, and is a fantastic element of networking and as part of the curriculum. And I was talking with a recent alum who I met actually last year at the executive challenge, who comes back every year to volunteer, who had been laid off from their company. And they said, the first thing I did was to connect in with both my undergraduate and my graduate, meaning McDonough, alma mater community. And he said, I will tell you, Christy, that the McDonough community came through for me. He said, the people I connected with or reconnected with, they really helped me secure the new job that I have today. And so I think that as people are coming into an MBA program, it's not just what will happen immediately summer between year 1 and year 2, or upon graduation after year 2. It is really, you're building a life lifetime of connections and community that will help you throughout your career in many different ways.
Mhm. Absolutely. And I think, what's also interesting is outside of business school, if you were just a normal person, not a student, and you wanted to go apply for a job, you're going to LinkedIn, you're going to Indeed, in kind of a one-off way where when you come into a top graduate business school, there's an entire ecosystem of hiring graduate business students. It's almost remarkable in some ways in that, companies are coming directly to hire students, they're coming to do receptions, to network. And so you kind of a door is open to these resources that you wouldn't get outside of graduate business school. And I think people don't necessarily know that until they come in and experience it. Would you have any thoughts or comments around that?
That's an excellent point, and I'm so in it that I forget that people who aren't in the recruitment world of MBA programs forget that we do offer that, but it is a huge component. So companies have structured recruitment programs for MBA programs. And they will reach out to us, and we already have a strong employer foundation and base where they have very targeted and regimented hiring plans. And they come to a top school like Georgetown McDonough to do recruitment for internships and full-time roles. And that happens in the fall through the spring. And it happens in many different ways, but it is one that a company knows, all right, we know we can project that we're going to need interns for next summer already. Not every company does this, but there are several large companies that have these hiring pipelines, and they will reach out to us over the summer. They'll schedule time for the fall, and then once fall comes, those sessions are happening on campus. Every day there is a different information session or coffee chat or employer and alum who's on campus to meet students, talk about their program, talk about the MBA hiring at their company. And they're posting the internships and full-time jobs in our system concurrently, so students are able to apply. And we also do resume books,
Mhm.
which are something students can opt into because we have companies who are constantly contacting us, asking us for resume books of our first-year MBA population or resume books of all of our graduating MBAs who are eligible to work full-time after May. Or in the case of part-time students, when they're looking to pivot, we can certainly think about what does that look like and how to help them with some of these just-in-time jobs. So it's definitely a robust machine of recruitment that is structured, organized, and I have employers from Deloitte and EY to Estee Lauder who come back to campus and tell me how much they love coming here to recruit students. Our Amazon recruiter recently said to me, Christy, I'll tell you, Georgetown McDonough is one of my favorite places to come and recruit. Your school is fantastic. You make it so easy for us to come here. I know Amazon is not actively recruiting as much as we once were, but she said, your center and your school is top of our list because we love your students and the community there. So I think that just goes to say that we have great depth and breadth in our employer partners and a pretty good pipeline and program that has been built and continues to be added to, quite honestly. We have new companies every day that are reaching out.
Awesome. Um, well, I think that's a good note to kind of wrap up on. There's so much more, to what your career center offers. I mean, we could go on. Maybe we'll do a part 2 segment in a few months. But I just wanted prospective students to get a more insider look into all the various resources, all the preparation, and really the support structure that your team provides to guide people through their 2 to 3 years as they seek an internship, seek a full-time employment offer, and then come to you saying, "Oh my goodness, I have multiple offers. What do I do? How do I choose? How do I negotiate my salary?" So,
Which
your team,
happens quite a bit.
it does, which is like, like the best world. The best problems are multiple choices. But truly your team and just the McDonough team are committed to student success. We truly believe in our program and what we offer. And we're here to cheer you on too. I think you're excited. We're excited when students get offers, and we know that we play like a small slice of the pie part in that. So thank you for joining me today, Christy. Certainly, these students will get to know you as they join McDonough and come on campus, and I know you'll be cheering them on as they go throughout their 2 to 3 years. So thanks.
Thank you, Shelly. Really appreciate the opportunity to share some of the insights and the power behind the Georgetown McDonough School of Business and the MBA program.